Nested for loops. So we've seen how to use a for loop. Now we're going to look at nested for loops. Here we have a for loop, and inside of it, in its body, we have another for loop. A for loop inside another for loop is called a nested for loop. In this example, we're calling print coordinates with x max of 4, y max of 5. This outer loop is called first, and it's going to be an x range of a range, of x max plus 1. X max is 4, so that's going to have the variable x assume the values in the range of 0 up to 5, so not including 5, so 0 up to 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. This loop is, we understand already. Now, when we consider the body of the loop, the highlighted code is going to be executed each time x takes on a new value. So when x is 0, the highlighted code will be executed, and y is going to be a range up to y max plus 1, so up to from 0 to 5 inclusive, or 0 to 6 exclusive. So we're going to go through this over and over again. Each time, x will still be 0, so we'll do 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, all the way up to 0, 5. And then we're done with this loop, so we print a new line. And then we're done with this entire pass of the outer loop. We go back to the top and x becomes 1. We fall back into this loop, and so on. So when we run this, we see when x is 0, we get this entire row because we run the inner loop 6 times. Then x is 1, and we get this entire row. And so on, x is 2, and so forth. So you can have an inner loop that in this case does not depend on the outer loop variable. So this y in this range does not depend on x. You can alternatively have the inner loop depend on the outer loop. So in this case, let's actually go up to x plus 1 in the inner loop. Now the inner loop changes as x changes. So when x is 0, y is only going to go up to range of 1, which is to say 0. When x is 1, y goes up to range of 2, so y will be 0 and 1. Notice this is rectangular. When we make this change, now it becomes triangular because y depends on x. The values that y takes on in the loop depend on x. You might want to try this on your own to experiment with it and see if you understand it. You can also draw stars instead of printing coordinates. The stars will just do asterisks. It's the same basic idea, but we're going to do an n by n. So we're going up to the range of n. So here will be a 5 by 5 rectangle of stars, or square of stars. There it is. Okay. So if we were to, for instance, go here and do a range up to row plus 1, now when we run it, there's the triangle we've come to know. You can do other kinds of shapes, and this is nice for quizzes. For example, if we want the first row to be to have n elements in it, and then the next row to have n minus 1 elements, and so forth, we'll do n minus row. And you can see as the row increases, 0, 1, 2, 3, row 0, row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, the range for the call is actually decreasing because we're subtracting the row. So you got a triangle, but it's sort of a downward growing triangle instead of upward. All right? So that's stars. Here's another mystery star shape. In this case, we are, we've already seen what's going to happen here because the column's depending on the row, and you get that nice triangle. The only difference here is we start each row by actually printing out the row, which is why when we run this, you have essentially row labels of 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. That comes from printing out the row at the start of each row. And you can practice to your heart's content. A variety of different shapes are possible using nested for loops.